Alright, Shalom. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'Sham Yahweh Shai Ba'Sham Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Kiam. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Sham Yahweh Shai Ba'Sham Kwadash. All praises and glory is due. And I'm probably going to entitle this video something like rules for thee, right, but not for me. But I already have an actual title I'm going to use for the video. So yeah, and this is a quote right here that I'm going to be responding to, and I'm building my video around, from the Marquis de Sade, which is a old French noble. The people who make the laws are really too biased towards evil and never carry out their fine talk. They merely make a stab at it for the sake of appearances, right? And in this quote, he was speaking, of course, of Esau Edom, the so-called red man. And this is a case of their own tongue falling upon themselves. Let's get the precepts. I believe that is Psalm 64 verse 8, so let's go to that. Psalm 64 verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Right, and this is a case of their own tongue falling upon themselves, because the Marquis de Sade is also an Edomite, and basically he was speaking on, Esau, Edom, and their quote-unquote laws, right, and constitutions that they make for themselves. As we can clearly see that even after writing this constitution, even after making all these laws about what you can and can't do, right, these devils cannot even keep their own laws, okay? And they didn't take the freaking Epstein files, right? They shouldn't have taken the freaking Epstein files for you to know that, okay? Even the way they conduct themselves on the daily basis, or in the daily basis, should let you know that they don't even keep their own laws. Diplomatic immunity, why does that exist? Presidential pardons, why does that exist, right? And these are all just the tactics that Esau Edom put up to circumvent the law, right? The way the elites are able to basically get away with all manner of crimes, including not paying taxes. While if you jakes especially, but you people that are in the world are even just $1 short on your tax, right? Esau is coming down on you with everything. Okay, so before I go into any more, I asked the chat, who was the Marquis de Sade, and actually did this before I actually opened started the video. So that was over 3 minutes ago, and it still hasn't brought out the information. That's strange. You should have already said something by now. Let me try that again. That's strange. I don't know why the network is being slow. It shouldn't take this long. But I believe I should have Gemini on this phone. I'm just going to ask Gemini. So here it is right here, which is Google's own AI. So who was the Marquis de Sade? Let's do that. Let's ask Gemini and see if it's actually fact. Hold on. Connection interrupted. Actually, I have data. What's going on out here? Oh, and Jack, you have to be right there. I don't have my data is not active right now, so just give me a minute. Alright, we got it working again. So now, I asked the chat who was the Marquis de Sade. The Marquis de Sade, Donatien Alphonse Francois, was an 18th century French aristocrat, philosopher, and writer, best known for his controversial and often disturbing works. Born in 1740, he is most famous for his explicit writings on sexuality, particularly sadism, a term derived from his name, right? And the reason why you have sadism and BDSM is because of this devil right here, the Marquis de Sade, which involves themes of cruelty, domination, and the pursuit of pleasure at the expense of others, which is basically how Esau Edom operates. So this is what this demon right here, right? This devil was famous for, this Marquis de Sade. So the story goes that, oh, he was just so wicked, just so devil, just so much of a demon, a devil, that even his own fellow devils, right, the same French nobles, right, and you know how those French nobles got down, complete demons as well, had to put him to death because of just how egregious he was. Okay, and this is what he basically said, and this is how Esau Edom, right, the whole nation of Esau Edom as a whole, this is how they operate. That basically laws exist, right, to oppress the um basically laws exist to oppress those that are under Esau. They don't keep the laws themselves. They don't practice these laws themselves. They only use these laws as a way to oppress those that are under them. That's why you see that, hey, all you jakes out here, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are always over-policed, right? They're always, given extra prison terms and higher prison sentences and harsher punishments, right, for crimes in Esau's kingdom. And the reason why is because, and let's start from here. This is the book of Habakkuk. I'm not going to go precept upon precept, right? Just to show you that this is the devil that we're dealing with. Habakkuk 1 verse 4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked does compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Right, and the reason why is because the law is slack, and the reason why the law is slack is because the wicked are in rulership, right? And we just read it, right, according to Esau Edom, that the laws only exist, as the color of law, the appearance of law, right? Because even, and the elder Malcolm always goes into this, that the US is no longer following the constitution, that they are under maritime law. It is illegal to put a US citizen under a foreign contract, which includes Title 4D and child support, but that does not stop the courts from doing so and the government from upholding it. So your president hasn't been breaking laws just from, oh, Donald Trump is breaking laws. No, all your US presidents have been breaking laws all the way going back to as early as I can confirm George Bush, which is why they have diplomatic immunity and presidential immunities and so on and so forth, right? Because they are all war criminals, and really that's how Esau Edom as a whole operates, through crime and violence. That's why the scriptures say that through unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. These devils can't help themselves, They sleep not unless they practice mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause one to fall. Roughly paraphrasing, and that's how Esau operates. So now, let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the second chapter, right, just to get more of the psychology of Esau Edom, because what you are seeing right now, right, and what you are hearing is an insight, right, a look into the mind of Esau Edom, into the mind of these devils. You are looking at the inner workings, the inner machinations, right, of these devils' minds. Wisdom of Solomon 2 verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Right, so this is how Esau Edom thinks, right? Because these devils might be Christians, but they don't believe in the Most High. These devils might be small hearts, talking about some Judaism that were the chosen people. Once again, they don't believe in the Most High, but they somehow believe that the land of Israel was promised to them 3,000 years ago. They still believe in manifest destiny, and oh, the land of America is, it was given to them by God, right? But they don't believe in the Most High, because we know that, and we know they don't believe in the Most High because they don't keep the commandments of the Most High. Was it not our Lord Yahushua that said, if you love me, you will keep my father's commandments, right? And of course, Esau Edom clearly is not doing that now, right? And which is how we also know that these devils do not believe in the reincarnation, right? They basically believe in that YOLO mindset. You only live once, which is why you see these devils operating in such a wicked way. on the earth, right? They are basically showing their horns all over the earth. And these Epstein files is just normal operating procedures for Esau Edom. What, you are surprised that the elites of Esau Edom are into child sex trafficking and abusing children and rituals and bestiality, all kinds of sexual perversions. We just read about a guy in history, 18th century France, and what he's famous for is the same thing: abuse and sexual perversions. This is how Esau Edom has been operating all throughout history, even all the way going back to the ancient world. These devils were infamous for being the exact same way. Why do you think Job said, right, whose children I would abstain, right, disdain to set with the dogs of my flock? Because these devils would, let me chill, that's what I want to say. You already know what I want to say. They would F those dogs, man. Literally. Now, Wisdom of Solomon 2, verse 2. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For our breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our hearts, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. Yeah, which is exactly what Esau pushes with his science, right? Basically, that there's no soul, there's no spirit. Okay, once you die, there is nothing. You become nothing, right? You are born at all adventure, which is basically just saying that, hey, it's all chaos and entropy, right? That's how Esau pushes the science that, humanity exists and the universe exists because of a big bang billions of years ago that happened for no reason, okay? And the universe just came together and brought forth life because of no reason, and really, we're just here randomly for no reason, all entropy and madness and chaos. That's how Esau operates, right? Basically, there is no God, and we know what the scriptures say: the fool saith in his heart that there is no God. The same way the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves but not aright, because once again the ungodly are fools. Alright, but let's keep going into it. Now, Wisdom of Solomon 2, verse 4. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. And our life shall pass away as the trace of the cloud, and shall be dispersed as mist, that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning for it. It is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use creatures like as in our youth. Kind of now I'm getting to the main point right here, which is basically going into the mindset of Esau Edom, right? Mindset of devils like the Marquis de Sade, mindset of devils like the elites of Esau Edom, the ones that are in the Epstein files and the ones that aren't, because hey, you should already know that there will most likely be some actual elites, the actual elites of Esau Edom, the elite banking families in those Epstein files, right? I'm not going to mention any names because you know how YouTube and Esau gets when you start bringing out too much information, but expect the major elite banking families to also make a slight appearance, right? One or two in those Epstein files, which are really the main people that most likely these devils are trying to cover up, right? So don't be surprised if you hear their names in those files. Yeah, so let's keep going into it. Now, Wisdom of Solomon 2, verse 7. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. For this is our portion, and our lot is this. So this is how these devils operate, right? That there is no tomorrow, right? You only have one life, so live your best life and practice all kinds of wickedness and debauchery and lasciviousness, right? Rather than set your house in order, get yourself right with the Most High Yahweh Sham Yahushai, because we know that these devils don't actually believe in the Most High Yahweh Sham Yahushai, and that's the narrative they push in the world: hedonism plus narcissism, right? You hear that you have 4 months to live, rather than getting yourself right with the Most High, setting your house in order and preparing to depart and to meet the Lord, right? You're now looking into your bucket list and looking at all kinds of things, and it's always on some perversion shit, right? It's always on some adultery, fornicatory stuff, right? It's never on some, oh, let me just go and see the sites, let me go and do some of the things that I couldn't do before, right? See some of the sites that I couldn't do, right? Why is it that the elite, why don't you people out here in the world think, right? Why don't you people out here in the world, and it clearly shows you, as the scriptures say, as the judge away people, so are those that are under him, because these Babylonians think the same way their elites do, right? Because this is madness, okay? This should be a foreign concept to you. You have so many of these people out here go basically saying that, oh, it's weird how as soon as people get money they begin to fall into decadence and degeneracy. They start looking for all kinds of other forms of pleasure. That's stupid as, so that's wicked as hell, man. Though, how much money do you need to start, to go to Epstein Island, right? How much money do you need to make to go to Epstein Island? Is that, and that shows you the mindset of these Babylonians out here, especially these low-level Edomites, that they're the same way as their elites. That's how you had those two devils that wanted to go and take over that island in Haiti. What did they say they wanted to do? Wisdom of Solomon 2 verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient grey hairs of the aged. Right. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to go and kill all the men and rape the young women that were there, right? After Esau come out and talk about the age of consent. Oh, a woman is only a woman when she's 18. Oh, a woman's brain fully formed when she's 25, right? And this is what your elites are doing. The same elites that set up those decrees, the same scientists that put up all those research papers that told you that, oh, this is when a woman becomes a woman, and age of consent and so on and so forth. We're on that same island, breaking the age of consent laws. That's why the scriptures calls Esau Edom the hypocrite. Let's keep going into it. Now, Wisdom of Solomon 2 verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Right? And this is how Esau operates, right? The mindset of might is right, and since they have the power, they decide the laws, so they can decide that, oh, the laws do not apply in this case, and the laws do not apply to them because they have the might, right? Basically, Esau Edom follows the mindset of might makes right, okay? With might makes right, okay? And of course, double standards when it comes to the enforcement of law, as the scriptures say, that a just balance. Let's get that precept. So this is the book of Proverbs 11 verse 1. A false balance is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. And Esau Edom is not enforcing his law, right, consistently, and he's not enforcing his law with balance. You have these devils out here able to practice all forms of wickedness, all forms of evil, and get away with it. Okay, we are talking about releasing the Epstein files. Nobody is talking about investigating any of the people involved in this, and even all the other crimes that Esau commits. Right? You forget that Trump kidnapped a sitting president. The UN didn't say shit, and I recently heard news that the US withdrew from the UN, and because of that now the UN is going bankrupt, and that shows you, right, just how effective these quote-unquote international peace bodies are. Really, all they are just American-owned, American-backed organizations, right? It's not the UN. It's America's it's America's little control block of nations, right? Or I should say Babylon the Great. And of course, this shows you what this, and this once again shows you that America really is Babylon the Great, because look at how much control it has in the world stage, right? Can you still doubt it up till now? This is that great city that the scriptures spoke about. So now let me get another quick precept, right? That is the book of Isaiah, and you already know what I'm going to get with this one. Isaiah 26 verse 10. Because you have seen And I've seen this a perfect example of this. Isaiah 26 verse 10. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly. I will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. Right. And even though Esau Edom had the ability to set the laws and to set up order and righteousness, even the little order and righteousness that these devils tried to set up, they did not keep that, right? The few righteous laws these devils put in the books, they could not keep those laws. And they could not keep those laws. They disregarded the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High Yahweh Shai, and then went even further to disregard the Most High Yahweh Shai. Right? Let's get that. Let's get a quick precept. Let's see if I can find that. Right, like turning of things upside down, because Esau Edom has turned everything upside down. That's why the world is currently, that's why the scriptures say, and the foundation of the earth is out of course, because these devils have turned everything upside down. Now the whole earth is out of course. The world should not be the way that it is right now, as it's currently being ruled by Esau Edom. This is why the Most High Yahweh Shai needs to destroy this world. They are clearly seeing now, and these people out there in the world are also clearly seeing that the only way out, the only deliverance is by the total destruction of Esau's kingdom. Isaiah 29 verse 16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? And that's exactly what Esau Edom says. There is no God, that he once made by God, and even now goes as far as to say, right, the blasphemy is that the great things and the great blasphemy is that the Babylon speaks against the Most High. They now say that man made God by imagining the Most High, right? And that shows you the level of wickedness and blasphemy these devils are going into. Let's keep on going into it. Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? That's exactly, once again, how Esau Edom operates, right? That's why the scripture says you will not behold the majesty of the Most High Yahweh Shai, because, and let's go and get that precept once again in the book of Romans, the first chapter, to show you how lawless of a devil Esau Edom is, right? Because it's not just about it's not just about the laws that Esau Edom himself set up, right? The man's laws, but it's also about the laws of the Most High Yahweh that he set up, that was ordained by the Most High as well. And these devils, right? Esau Edom does not keep any of them, right? These devils continually break the laws of the Heavenly Father. I doubt if Esau has ever kept any actual law, and even if he does, he does not, right? The scriptures say, and if he doeth good, he doeth so unwillingly, and at the last his evil shall be revealed. Romans 1, and I'll start from verse 21. Because that when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as the Most High, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible power into an image made like unto corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and to creeping things. Right, that's right, because Esau will say that, the universe was just made by any random, by the randomness of itself, right? By the Big Bang, it just exploded and came to be, basically putting the glory of creating the universe, which belongs to the Most High, Yahweh Shai, to nothing, right? And all the other things that exist in this kingdom, or the other things that exist in this universe and this world, Esau is now saying, because the big thing now is Esau is saying that, human beings are actually star creatures, right? Stardust. So basically, the molecules that created the human beings, the atoms that created humans, were first formed in stars. So we are basically star dust, right? So now the um so now the glory of creation, right, is being given unto the stars, creatures made by that they do not want to honor the creator, so they honor the creation, right? The creator which is blessed forever. So they began to reverence the creator. And let's go into it. Romans 1 verse 25. Who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie and worshipped and served the creature more than the creator who is blessed forever. Amen. Right. So, as much as Esau likes to pretend that that he's scientific, right, and that they no longer serve a god, it is clear that science is just sun worship and moon worship and worship of the creatures brought back and reinvented. Okay. And what all this proves once again, what we are seeing, what we are seeing right now, especially with these Epstein files, like I said, the Epstein files don't really prove anything. This is just Esau Edom's normal mode of operation, right? Esau Edom is the devil. We, the Hebrew Israelites, were right. The Most High Yahweh Sham Yahushai should destroy them. They are going into slavery as well, especially for the wickedness and the oppression and the evils that they have done against our people. Because as much as hey, this Epstein thing is only as big as it is because Epstein was mainly targeting Esau, right? Mainly targeting these young Edomite girls. Okay, but this is how Esau Edom was operating during from the time of the transatlantic slave trade even until now, with Jake, right? With young Jake girls, young Jake boys, even the Jake men, if you look up and bulk breaking. This is how Esau Edom, these devils, were operating. So yeah. Where is the outrage, right? Where are the cries for justice? Where is the crying out for righteousness? And you will find that only the men of the Lord, only the Hebrew Israelites are doing any crying out, doing any condemning and calling for the destruction of Esau Edom. Right? These Babylonians are still out there talking about some arrest, some investigates, even with everything they are saying coming out against these devils. When you should be talking about some put to death, electric chair, lethal injection. Right? That's what you should be talking about right now, especially with the fact that you had these devils for years trying to hide and keep this information from coming out, and now that it finally has, right? Yeah, still talking about some arrest, and that shows you just how wicked these devils are, just how little understanding of what true justice and true righteousness looks like that they have. They are just they aren't even asking for anything. They aren't even crying out for anything, right? The Babylonians are just moving business as usual, right? People are just, the YouTubers and the content creators are using this to make their daily bread, and everybody else is just acting as though it's just another day in Babylon. Well, really, it is, right? So with that, once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'Sham Yahweh Shai Ba'Sham Rakakwadash Wa Abad Ba'Bal, and through the Spirit of Yakim and Juakwat were edified. Shalom.